Hey there, I'm just testing to make sure this is working.
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you.
Great. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm going to give a couple more minutes to get started, let everyone else join in. Hi there, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, can you all see my presentation?
We can see you.
You can see me. All right, well, that's good. Try sharing my screen. How's that?
Yeah, now we see it.
Excellent. Wonderful. All right. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Working off of two screens, so forgive me if my head bobs back and forth. All right, great. I think we've got fairly close to a full house, so we can probably go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our first meeting for the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program Citizens Advisory Committee. I want to thank all of you for joining us, and my name is Sabina Pennington, and I am the Public Outreach Specialist for the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program. I'm really excited to have you all here, and I welcome all of you for this kickoff meeting. You'll often hear me refer, well, you'll probably hear me refer to the Citizens Advisory Committee as the CAC. We have a lot of acronyms, so I just kind of wanted to forewarn you on that from the beginning in case I do call it the CAC. Or also the Estuary Program is a little shorter than saying the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program. So thanks again, everyone, for coming in. I would like to get started a little bit with kind of explaining a little bit more about what our agenda will be, and then kind of going into why we are here. So I think it would be really helpful if everyone gives a short introduction about themselves. Doesn't have to be very extensive, just a little bit about yourself, why you're here, maybe what your relationship is with using the Choctawhatchee Bay, or what region that you're in, might be the rivers, etc. So if each of you would start, unmute yourself, introduce your name, and if and then we'll just kind of go one by one at that point. Mary, do you want to start? Oh, Jason, go for it.
Hey everyone, I'm Jason Stafford. I live up in Holmes County. Lived here my whole life. You know, grew up on Choctawhatchee River, the Bay. I just want to thank y'all for allowing me to be on this committee.
Great, welcome.
I don't know what order we want to go in, but I'm Gary Shipman. I live in Walton County. I actually live on the Choctawhatchee Bay, east of the Causeway, at the mouth of Bowman Bayou.
Excellent, thank you. And you'll have a wonderful perspective to add to our committee. I really appreciate you joining us.
I'll go ahead and go if nobody's going to step in. My name is Mary Gutierrez. I am a military brat, so we ended up here. My father was in the Air Force. I've been in the Panhandle for a long, long time. I'm currently in the city of Fort Walton Beach. My love of nature led me to become an environmental scientist. I've spent a lot of times, of course, in the Gulf, as well as a lot of river streams, enjoying it in multiple capacities. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of this.
Great, thanks, Mary.
Hi,
Yes, I'll go
everybody.
next. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is John Yost. I was a software engineer in the DC area for about 40 years. And when I retired in 2016, we started looking down here and moved to Niceville, Florida in Okaloosa County in 2017. So I've been around here for about 5 years. I'm the chair of the Okaloosa chapter of the Environmental Caucus, and we have been active in a couple of different areas. One was the recycling area. One of our members is on the Okaloosa Recycling Advisory Board. We also, I don't know, demonstrated, if you want to call it that, but showed up at commission meetings for continuing the recycling back in 2018. We've also done some native planting native trees in the Eliza Jackson Park along the Sound and excuse me, behind Okaloosa Island. And I've been involved in trying to get some flooding relief for some citizens in an area of Fort Walton Beach. Thanks.
Wonderful, thanks so much, John. Yeah, you've got a lot of involvement within the community. So I really am excited to have you on the board, on the committee. And Jill, did you want? I see Jill Barfield.
They have the wrong name up there for me. I don't know how they popped up on the Jill. My name is Barry Gray. I've been working probably about a good 20 years, mostly in the Savannah Heights community, Gap Creek area, working with things like water quality studies, contamination, get into Gap Creek, going out into Cinco Bayou. We worked on stormwater issues. We're working now with John Yost on some different programs dealing with Gap Creek. He was very successful. Just recently, some things came down through Tallahassee to fix some of the issues within that area in Gap Creek. So we've been working about 20 years and we're still working.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, Barry. I really appreciate it.
I'll chime in if nobody else does. I'm Michael Mullen. I'm retired from Troy University. I'm your Choctawhatchee river keeper. I'm trained as a chemist and a biologist. We do a lot of monitoring. We're going to start doing a lot with my other hat. I'm also the Southeast Alabama rep for the Alabama Scenic River Trail. Very interested in improving citizen access and safety. Connect with your wonderful Florida water trails. You know, some of the problems I see are just tremendous public education problem. You know, I was just out the last couple of days collecting bacteria samples. We look at 20-something sites for bacteria before each of the summer holidays. And then if we see a problem, we continue. And the amount of, I just say, I don't know whether it's sorriness, ignorance, or what, you know, the amount of trash and litter and that sort of thing. You know, you go out and people are throwing their baby diapers and stuff up on the riverbank. You know, some of these I think are intractable problems. I don't know how we solve them without solving the education problem.
Thank you, Mike. That's a very important part. Part of the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program is that we have an education and outreach.
I failed to mention our water keepers all over the country are doing surface water PFAS testing, and we should have a report I think we did 7 sites in the upper Choctawhatchee. And I suspect Emerald Coast Keeper hopefully did some down that one.
Great, great. Thank you, Mike.
Hey, I'm Jeff Talbert. I live in Walton County in the Choctawhatchee Watershed, and I work for the Atlanta Botanical Garden on a wetlands restoration project down at Deer Lake State Park. And I've been involved in the state parks and restoration in this area for about the last 14 years.
Great, welcome, Jeff. Thank you.
I guess I'll go next. No one's up. I'm Steve Dureski, Okaloosa County, Blue Water Bay, fairly close to the Mid-Bay Bridge, retired military. And I've been working on getting our community, or the Blue Water Bay, certified as a community wildlife habitat. And that's since expanded for Okaloosa County, has taken that over to get Okaloosa County certified with the National Wildlife Federation as a certified wildlife habitat. And once we reach that goal, we'll be the first county in the Panhandle. So we're pretty excited about that. There's some other folks that are working that now, but anyway, lived here about 20 years in the north, and use the Bay for lots of different things and love it. And thanks for what y'all are doing.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us, Steve. Great information about the wildlife, National Wildlife Certification too. Thank you. Anybody else want to join in? Go ahead, Lynn.
Yeah, this is Tony Janicki. I'm with Janicki Environmental. Been working in Florida for a little more than 30 years, working with estuary programs, local governments, with the state government, setting water quality criteria. And we're up here working with Brian and Sabrina on the development of the CCMP. So we're really happy to hear what the members of this committee have to say.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Tony. Who's next?
Yes, Brian Underwood, Director of the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program, and I just wanted to thank everyone for attending this afternoon, and we certainly look forward to working with you and getting your feedback and input as well as draft of our comprehensive conservation and management plan for the Bay and Watershed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brian. Brian is remote right now, so his internet connection is a little bit spotty. So forgive if you had difficulty in hearing him, but I'll clarify. Brian is the Executive Director of the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program. Anyone else? Go ahead, Lynn. Oh, you're muted, Lynn. I can't hear you. I think if you use Teams, sometimes the mics have to be reswitched or something. I've heard that. But that's okay. I can give a slide introduction for you, Lynn, if you'd like. I'll wait. We'll wait for you, Lynn. Anyone else that'd like to join? Introduce themselves? All right. I think that probably covers everybody. We do have some additional people that might pop in a little bit later on. And I see one person that's got a phone number. Is that you, Steve? As your last 4 numbers are 6831?
No, that's not me.
Okay, all right, I didn't see your profile.
Huh.
Oh, there you are.
How to put it on there? Let me look.
There it is. I see
Okay.
it. Okay, great. Let me see. All right. So whoever's got the phone number 6831, if you could just message me and let me know your name so that I can record that. For those of you that don't know, Florida has a sunshine law, and all of what we do is publicly available. So this meeting is being recorded, and we will keep it as a public record, obviously. All right, well, wonderful. Thank you all so much for sharing your introductions and your involvement in and interest in the Choctawhatchee Bay. What I'd like to move on to next is to sort of give a little bit of a description about what the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program is, and then that will segue me into some aspects of the program, which ultimately will be why the purpose of our comprehensive conservation management plan that we're working on, and some focus areas. We'll also talk about what the Citizens Advisory Committee roles are, and highlight the draft version or the goal of the presenting a mission statement, and then I'll take any comments at the end. All right, so I know that all of you have in some way knowledge or a connection to our Choctawhatchee Bay, but I thought it would be really important for some people that aren't quite as familiar about what an estuary is. So this gives me an opportunity to share with you a little bit more information about that and why it's important for our bay. This way we all kind of have a common knowledge of it. An estuary is a body of water where the rivers will meet the sea, and therefore the water in an estuary will have brackish water, which is a mixture of fresh water and salt water. Some of the benefits for an estuary are that it provides many benefits actually for the ecosystem, but it includes water filtering, filtration through the marshes, the swamps, and the seagrasses. And this is very important because it filters the nutrients and the pollutants as it flows down from the rivers and the streams. And then those marshes and swamps will line the coastlines of the estuaries, which then provide protection for the people that are living along the shorelines, the homes, as well as just the general shorelines, and also provides protection for storm surge and erosion. So estuaries are incredibly important bodies that we have, and they also provide habitat for numerous species of birds, mammals, fish, lots of other wildlife. And I like to kind of think of them as an extensive nursery for all living things. Those are the ones that usually reside in the estuary. And then finally, of course, we have estuaries provide tons of recreation and tourism for boating, for kayaking, paddleboarding, hiking, things of that nature. And most importantly for any type of community is that it also generates billions of dollars in annual revenue from the people that use the water, the estuary. And those might be the visitors as well as you, the local people that live here that have called this area home. So Choctawhatchee Bay is actually an estuary. It is our estuary, and that's why our program was established. And our goal, of course, is to protect and restore the bay for those future generations. The Choctawhatchee Bay is 129 square miles. It covers some state and federally managed lands, such as the Gulf Islands National Seashore that's on Okaloosa Island. And then, of course, Eglin Air Force Base has a lot of land around the bay. And it was measured by the Haas Center in 2006 that the Choctawhatchee Bay directly provides 36,000 jobs and over $4 billion of local revenue annually to the area. And in addition to that, the bay provides homes to hundreds of species, as you can see by the pictures on my slide. And some of those species are not only just, they're threatened, federally threatened, and some of them are very unique just to our area. If you notice the little mouse image. So it's vitally important that we have a very diversity, a strong diversity within the Bay Area. And of course, to do that, we need to have water quality, and other things that we build upon. So I want to highlight what the watershed is. A lot of people are very surprised when I show them this image. If you'll notice well, first off, let me define what a watershed is. A watershed is the land area that channels rainfall to the creeks, streams, and rivers, and that eventually ends up into the estuaries or the ocean. So if you'll notice on this, this image, the watershed for the Choctawhatchee Bay is the red outline on the map. That is the entire watershed of the Choctawhatchee Bay, and it covers over 5,405 square miles. You'll also notice in the center of the map is a bright yellow line, and what that actually is representing is that about 60% of the Choctawhatchee Bay watershed is in Alabama, and 40% is in Florida. So you can kind of see how important the watershed is in all of that flowing down into the estuary. So it's not, you can see the land area and how all of those creeks and channel and streams and rivers are flowing down into the estuary, which we often call Choctawhatchee Bay. And then you can kind of see the green area in the map, which is some of Eglin's ranges, some of that federal land that I was mentioning earlier. Let me see. Oh, next map. So I thought it would be important for you to understand how the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program is set up, and kind of how you fit in as a Citizens Advisory Committee. So what you see here is, I guess probably what, let me back up. The Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program was first developed through a interlocal agreement and is under the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Coalition. It was formed in 2017. And that is an interlocal agreement between Okaloosa County, Walton County, Holmes County, and Washington County. The reason I refer to this as the management conference is that the US EPA has a national estuary program, and that term actually comes directly from that. We use that as our organizational structure because a lot of what we do is emulating the EPA's national estuary program. So I mentioned the coalition, the board of directors, and that includes the county commissioners from the 4 counties that I mentioned, as well as representatives from the Choctawhatchee Basin Alliance, which is a nonprofit organization in the area that's very active in protecting the Choctawhatchee Bay. We also have a representative on the board from the Eglin Air Force Base and the Choctawhatchee Pea and Yellow River Watershed Management Authority, which is the Alabama portion. You'll notice that underneath the board of directors, we have the program staff. We heard Brian introduce himself a little earlier. Brian is the executive director for the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program, and then there is myself as our program staff, the public outreach specialist. And then the program staff relies very heavily on the input from our committees, and I have the committees highlighted below. We have a technical advisory committee, an education and outreach committee, and now our Citizens Advisory Committee. And we hope to form a business and industry committee in the not so distant future as well. So what basically happens is that we receive input from these different committees, and we then relay that to the board of directors, and then the board of directors will adopt policies and approve proposed management strategies, and that then will be implemented by the program staff and the committee members. So the Technical Advisory Committee is basically consistent of the scientists from our local, state, and federal government agencies, as well as nonprofit organizations that are working within the watershed. The Education and Outreach Committee includes extension programs, environmental education institutions, 4-H programs, other organizations that work directly with outreach. And then our Citizens Advisory Committee, we have members from the community that use the estuary for recreation or enjoyment. I like to think of our Citizens Advisory Committee sort of as the heartbeat of our community. So I feel that, each of you being here has a very important part, to contribute. And then our Business Industry Committee, Business and Industry Committee will include restaurants, fishing charters, ecotourisms, things like that. Go to the next slide. So I thought it would also be helpful to kind of give you an idea of how the Citizens Advisory Committee, some of the roles, and again, some of this is inputted from the EPA's National Estuary Program. We use that as our guidance. So the real important part is that, the focal point for the Citizens Advisory Committee is to generate public involvement for the program, and that also involved in public participation, helping with the planning phases, and then implementation process. And you'll also be involved in helping us to identify and prioritize problems, because each of you have a different perspective of the estuary, the Choctawhatchee Bay, and you may live on it, you may utilize it, you may be working to protect it. So it's really important that you've already got a vested interest in it, and it's important for helping us to develop outcomes and activities. We like to utilize targeted focus groups as well with our public input, and then that helps us to develop different criteria. And that in turn allows us to approach government agencies and work with government agencies and local agencies to work with implementing the different needs that our citizens have come up, as well as our other committees, excuse me. We like that, we hope that each of you will have a perspective on it, as well as contributing to it, and maybe some recommended actions as well. The goal that we all are hoping to, to ultimately do, and which was mentioned earlier, is the CCMP. I'll go into that in another slide. But we are looking to do a community-based watershed management program and develop that further so that we can ensure future generations will be able to utilize a clean and healthy Choctawhatchee Bay. So let's talk about this map. As you can see in this map, the Choctawhatchee Bay is, I've mentioned earlier, is modeled after the EPA's National Estuary Program. And it is a place-based, non-regulatory program. And it protects and restores water quality and the ecological integrities of the estuary. So the reason that I highlight this is because currently there are 28 estuary programs in the United States and Puerto Rico. Mary, you had your hand up before I go any further.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to wait for questions or not, but you're sort of going into the NEP right now. But so one of my questions was, will we be seeking that status at some point?
Yes, and that was, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
So as you can see from this map, there are 28 National Estuary Programs in the United States and Puerto Rico, and they have been very, very successful at improving the water quality and the environment of those estuaries. But you'll also notice that there is a lack here in the Florida Panhandle. So there has been a Panhandle-wide effort to develop these estuary programs, just like the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program is, and ultimately to become a national estuary program. So right now there is Pensacola and Perdido Bay that has a estuary program, and they of course are to the west of us. And then the St. Andrews and St. John's Bay, which is to the east, has also established an estuary program similar to what we are doing, with the ultimate goal of becoming a national estuary program. So the benefits of having the estuary program specific to the Choctawhatchee Bay, and the reason why we're focusing on the Panhandle is we have this beautiful environment that has been utilized for generations, but we've not focused enough on the types of ways that we can improve the quality and ensure that not only our tourism and our economy, but also the livelihood and most importantly, the habitat that utilizes the bay and the watershed, of course. So it's very important for us that we focus on the unique needs. So the unique needs to our region. And that was why the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program was developed, so that it's specific to what our program or our needs are here, because that could be very different than what it might be in Pensacola or in St. Andrews and St. John's Bay. So it's really important as well, because one of the goals for the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program, I probably should just call it the Estuary Program, you'll hear me say that interchangeably. The Estuary Program is that we are working to develop a comprehensive conservation and management plan, which is the CCMP. And we have Tony Janicki and Lynn Cherry as participating in this meeting today. They are the contractors that are working on developing that comprehensive conservation and management plan, which I'll refer to as the CCMP. So by doing that comprehensive conservation and management plan, the needs for our particular region will be highlighted in that plan. And that in turn allows us an opportunity to be able to bring together all the different stakeholders in the area and identify the types of needs that we have specific to our region. And that in turn can be then utilized by local agencies as well. So let me talk a little bit about the Comprehensive Conservation and Management, CCMP. It's a mouthful, I know, I'm sorry. So currently it is being developed using the input from our local, state, federal, and private, as well as nonprofit stakeholders, just like yourself, and ultimately becomes our 5-year plan so that it will contain measurable goals and objectives. These are images of different CCMPs that have been developed in different areas at this Tampa and Charlotte Harbor and Alabama. Just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what that looks like. We are in the process of developing the CCMP, and it's really important that we have a committee like yourselves, the citizens, to be able to review it and develop ideas as to, as each committee is developing pieces. So our focus areas at this, that we have, our draft focus areas, so we have 6 focus areas, and obviously water quality is the first, resource protection and management, floodplains and the wetlands, land use planning, which is very important as we continue to grow, and land management, and coastal resiliency, and then of course education and outreach. And I really liked that that Mike is on our committee, Michael Mullen, to to highlight the fact that education and outreach is very important. We have a lot of people that come to the area that are visitors, and the more that we can educate them on the needs of our how to keep it clean and how best to benefit the Choctawhatchee Bay, the more that can grow exponentially throughout the area. So let's see. These, again, as I mentioned, are our draft priority focus areas. And we have developed them utilizing the best available science, as well as input from the technical advisory committees and other stakeholders over the past 3 years. And as I mentioned, the Janicki consultant team is doing an initial draft of these focus areas, as well as associated goals and actions, which will be included in the CCMP. And we're really hoping that we can include the CAC in developing some of those focus areas, as well as reviewing the draft, helping us to disseminate this into the public so that the public can review the draft. We really look to the Citizens Advisory Committee as sort of our eyes and ears of our community. So I think it's really important that you're here. So how can you get involved? Well, the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program is focusing on promoting a thriving economy and ecology environment for the Choctawhatchee Bay, as well as the watershed. So it's really important that we look at these valuable assets so that we can pass them on not only to future generations, but to benefit our communities as we are right now, and allowing that to support the diverse economic benefits as well as the recreational interests that we have, both for those that live here as well as for those that are visiting the area. We're working at implementing programs and initiatives for protection and stewardship of our natural resources, and we work very closely with all the stakeholders in nonprofits as well as the scientists and the educators within the area and the community. And because we do cover a large region within the watershed, we do work closely with other agencies, both in Alabama and the 4 counties as well. Participation for the Citizens Advisory Committee really does have a very important and integral part for our program, for the estuary program. And there's a variety of ways, whether it be a subgroup that might be interested in reviewing the CCMP when the draft is out, as well as keeping abreast of our activities and other activities in the area. If you're interested in signing up for our monthly newsletter, you can send me an email. And also inviting other like-minded people or sharing the types of things that are going on, and letting other people know that that our program is here, and that we are working with so many other agencies and stakeholders to ensure that we have a well-encompassed sort of footprint, I guess you could say, of the area and all of the needs of the area. So the current plan is to continue to have these meetings virtually. Since we do cover such a large area, it makes it easier for everyone to participate. And our next scheduled meeting would be August 25th. We'll like to keep them all at 1 p.m. And they'll run about every other month. Since after October's meeting would be December, and that would fall too close to the holidays, we'll just push to January 2023. So those are the tentative meeting schedules that we have, and I will send out a save the date for August very shortly so that you'll have that on your calendar, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to participate as well. If you have people within your community that you interact with and that you feel would be beneficial to being a member of the CAC, then I would really love for you to reach out to me and let me know who those are, and I will make the introduction. So do I have any questions at this point? I know that some of you have a wide knowledge of the watershed, and some of you may have a limited knowledge, so I hope that you've taken the material that I've given to you today. I wanted all of us to sort of start off on the first page, on the same page, and be able to understand the whole area of what we're focusing on, and then what we're going. Yes, Mary.
Yeah, so I have a couple of things. The first one is, I don't know if you have a timeline for when we're going to apply. I guess after the plan is completed, that we would use that to apply to be an NEP. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, say that a little bit slower.
Yeah, so after the plan is completed, is that the next step going to be, we're going to use that to seek out NEP status?
To seek out, did you say?
NEP status, National Estuary Program.
Oh, yes, and I don't know if Brian wants to chime in a little bit more on that process, but we're still in the draft stages of the CCMP, and I believe it'll be next year before we'll have the draft, and at that time we'll be doing a lot of public outreach with that, in having people review it as well. And then yes, ultimately our goal is to with the CCMP will be to become a National Estuary Program.
Okay, so I just wanted to share this little tidbit, and you guys might also already have this in place, but many years ago when I was an environmental planner for the West Florida Regional Planning Council, which is now the Emerald Coast Planning Council, I actually worked with our then representative Clay Ford. I don't know, some of you might remember Clay Ford. I don't know if he was specific to this area or not, but anyway, I had been told by the EPA at that time it was good to have a representative from our local area be the champion for us becoming an NEP. So I just want to throw that out there. I don't know if it's changed, but it certainly hurt.
Sabina, this is Tony. Maybe I could offer, because I've been involved with this for a long, long time. Your point is important, Mary, and that is that the NEPs depend upon a nomination by typically one of the state senators, and so that would either be Senator Rubio or Senator Scott, as it stands right now. If you are thinking about doing that sort of thing, I think while the CCMP is going to be an important part of it, and we're trying to emulate the way NEPs would normally do CCMPs, so we do have kind of that advantage. But and Brian and I have had a little bit of a discussion on this already, and I mean, quite honestly, you can't start soon enough in terms of engaging, especially people on the staffs of the two senators, so that they're aware of what's going on, and maintain that communication. I think that'll help out a great deal.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Tony. And thanks for bringing up that question, Mary. That was excellent.
Okay, my last question then is, at any point, are we going to include Alabama since they're part of the watershed?
A good question. I will defer to Brian.
Well, the CCMP covers the entire watershed. So yes, it includes, and we've already had, as part of the Tuscaloosa Advisory Committee and previous committee meetings, a great deal of participation on the part of folks in Alabama. So yeah, we're going to do the whole shebang.
And we do have a lot of participation for those all the way from Geneva, Alabama, all the way down, which is kind of the top, I believe, of the estuary. I'm sorry, the watershed. Any other questions? All right. Well, if you think of another question later on, please feel free to email me. And as I mentioned before, oh, wait, there are some people in the chat. Give me a second. Oh, I think Brian maybe. Let's see. Mary had mentioned that she had not highlighted the fact that her professional career started with water, air, and soil sampling for DEP, which is fantastic. You have a great perspective to bring to our committee. And Mike mentioned that he's also CPESC, so he's interested in the erosion and sedimentation issues that impact the bay. That's very important as well, and I think that that is going to be more predominantly highlighted in our CCMP. I highlighted the 6 primary focus goals that we have, but there are many objectives within that, and I didn't want to inundate you with too much information right off the start. Yes, go ahead, John.
Just a quick question. What do you see as the sort of the next steps for the committee?
We will probably be presenting some additional material. We're going to be working with the Janicki team on how we'll be developing the CCMP. And I think that in the next group, we will present to you, a little more detail about what the focus area goals are, and then the objectives that we've identified at this point, and seeing if there is areas that need additional clarification or areas that we're missing as well, so that we can ensure that there is more involved. Who do I have raising their hand? Mike and Steve. So Mike, would you go first?
It's me. One of the things I see is whenever you all have information in summary form that organizations can get to a broader public, please make sure that comes out, and the need to get out to the greater public. I'm going to be down in beautiful Vernon, Florida, and the beautiful Holmes Creek tomorrow. One of the things I see as an issue is people love these places to death, and that's going to have to be part of any management plan. How do we manage the volume of people going to some of these places? That's probably more for the technical committee, but it is an issue.
Yes, absolutely. And it is, we've been discussing some of the best methods to disseminate the CCMP, and some of it may be just to provide a link on a website and to disseminate that to the public, to give them an opportunity to be able to review it. And certainly, you know, as I mentioned, being our Citizens Advisory Committee, you have a direct connection within your communities. So that really will be very helpful, in that you'll be able to also pass along that information.
A lot of people here have a connection in the Panhandle. And I think if you get between Lisa and myself, I think it might be appropriate sometime, and the Choctawhatchee organization could probably host a public meeting if you all want to get to the point where you want to have an informational meeting somewhere in the mid Choctawhatchee watershed, you know, Geneva Enterprise, whatever. I think if you feel that that's ever useful, just let us know.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you. So Brian added in the comments, you know, he chimed in about the long-term program sustainability is being explored, and that the National Estuary Program designation is one of the options that we are looking at growing into. And also mentioned that the Choctawhatchee Bay Yellow River Watershed Management Authority, which is out of Alabama, it's an Alabama state agency, is also represented as a board member of the Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Coalition. Stormwater erosion and sedimentation control inspector. So I wanted to mention that stormwater erosion, yes, Okaloosa County has been spending some time, as well as that being one of the highlights, and things like the Gap Creek, Cinco Bayou area. And John would like to receive the newsletter. Excellent. Is there any other comments?
I think Steve had his hand up. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but did he get to ask his question or make comment?
Right. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me. I mean, for calling me on that. A couple things. First of all, just thank you for doing this. This is awesome. Great presentation, Sabina, and I think, you know, I think I speak for everybody saying this is really important, and we're glad to and honored to be part of it. So I see great things in the future. I think I was actually going to ask the same thing that Mike sort of referred to. I know it's a lot of work, but, you know, if there's value added at some point in, you know, getting the committees together or whatever, a public meeting, I know that's a huge thing. These virtual things are great for keeping us informed, but, you know, that might be helpful as we spread the word. And the last thing I was going to say is, do we get to share some of those peas you're snapping up there, Mike?
Not this time.
Anyway,
I would gladly trade for some slicers. Your slicer tomatoes are probably in. Mine are still sitting there just waiting to get right.
That's all for me. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you. So my last slide is just to give you all a great big thank you, of course, for your time and for your attendance. And these are the ways that you can reach out to me, my email address, my phone number. And this is our website. It is connected through the Okaloosa County webpage. We are in the process of developing our own Choctawhatchee Bay Estuary Program webpage. And we are on Facebook and Instagram, and have a YouTube channel that I am working on to a refresh on. So I appreciate everyone's participation and information. I'm going to save the chat notes for this, and if there are any specific questions, I might reach back out to you all that I have. But again, thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you all in August. Any final comments or questions?
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome.
Thank
All
you.
right. I guess we'll
Take
go
care.
ahead and call it an adjournment then.
Be safe.
Thank you so much for popping in. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
I'm done if you want to come back in here.
Great meeting, Sabina. Thank you. That was really good.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, I'm gonna sign off, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, Brian, thank you. I'm trying to see if I was able to
Yeah.
record it. All right, have a good one. Take care of yourself.
All right,
Bye-bye now, Brian.
thank you. Bye-bye.